My girlfriend said, I donated your sperm without telling you. My friend couldn't afford a clinic. Congrats, you're a biodad. I responded calmly, that's illegal. Then I called a lawyer, filed charges, and contacted the friend with a cease and desist. When child services got involved and started investigating everyone involved. When she said those words, I froze. I donated your sperm without telling you. She said it like she was announcing a surprise birthday party, not confessing to a crime. I remember staring at her, trying to process the sentence. The room felt smaller, my chest tighter, as the reality of what she just said began to form in my mind. You, what? I asked slowly. She smiled, nervous but oddly proud. Relax, it's not a big deal. My friend Jenna was desperate. She couldn't afford a clinic, and you've always said you wanted to help people. So, I helped her. Technically, we helped her. I remember my heartbeat slowing, like my brain was forcing me to stay calm. You helped her? I repeated quietly. Without telling me? She nodded. Yeah, but it's fine. She's pregnant now, and you're technically a biodad. Isn't that wild? She laughed softly, waiting for me to join in. I didn't. Instead, I said the only words that made sense in that moment. That's illegal. My voice was low even, and she blinked like I had said something ridiculous. Illegal? Come on, it's not like I sold your kidney. I stood up slowly. You took something that belongs to me. My DNA. My consent. You stole that and gave it to someone else. That's not helping, that's a crime. Her smile faltered. You're overreacting. No, I thought. I'm finally seeing you for who you really are. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I walked to my desk, opened my laptop, and started typing. Within 5 minutes, I had emailed my lawyer, Daniel. The subject line was simple. Urgent. Possible criminal misuse of genetic material. She watched me, confused, half laughing. You're really calling a lawyer. For what, exactly? I turned to her. For theft, fraud, and potential reproductive coercion. For violating every boundary imaginable. Her face paled. You're making it sound worse than it is. Jenna needed help, and I didn't think you'd say yes. That's why you didn't ask, I cut in. My tone was still calm, and that scared her more than if I'd shouted. When Daniel called back, I put him on speaker. I laid out everything she'd said. He was silent for a long moment, then exhaled sharply. She admitted that to you directly? Yes, I said. And her friend is pregnant. Daniel's voice hardened. You need to document everything. Save messages, record her if possible. What she did could fall under reproductive battery, and if a child results from that, the legal implications are serious. You could be held responsible unless we move fast. My girlfriend, Rachel, looked like she'd been punched. Wait, you could be held responsible? For what? You didn't even do anything. Exactly, I said quietly, but biologically, that child is mine. And if the state finds out, they won't care about how it happened. They'll care about who the father is, which means me. Daniel continued, we'll need to contact the friend. She's complicit if she accepted the material knowing it was taken without consent. We can send a cease and desist to prevent her from using it further. Then we'll notify the proper authorities. Rachel covered her face. Oh my God, what have I done? I didn't answer. I couldn't. I was too busy replaying every moment of the past month. Her sudden secrecy, the random errands, the excuses about helping Jenna. I had brushed it off as harmless. I never imagined she was stealing my genetic material and giving it away. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the ceiling. My entire sense of privacy, of control over my own life, felt violated. People talk about betrayal in terms of cheating or lies, but this was something darker. It wasn't emotional infidelity. It was biological theft. By morning, Daniel had drafted the first set of legal documents. Cease and desist letters, one addressed to Jenna, one to Rachel. Both were delivered within hours. I didn't tell Rachel until the process server knocked on the door. The look on her face when she realized it was official made something inside me harden. Mark, she whispered as the man handed her the envelope. You can't be serious. I told you last night, I said, buttoning my shirt. This isn't personal anymore. It's legal. Please, she said, grabbing my arm. You're blowing up my life over a mistake. Jenna's so happy she's been trying for years. I don't care how happy she is, I snapped for the first time. She's pregnant with my child, without my consent. That's not a miracle, that's a crime scene. She started crying, but I walked past her. I didn't even take my coffee. I just drove straight to Daniel's office. He was already waiting, a thick folder in front of him. I contacted law enforcement, he said. This could escalate fast, Mark. They'll open an investigation into both women. And if there's a child involved, child services will eventually have to be notified. Good, I said coldly. He looked up at me. You sure you want to go that far? I met his eyes. She made a choice for me. I'm just making mine. For the next few days, things moved fast. The police took my statement, and I submitted DNA evidence from my bathroom, my trash, even my medical kit. They'd need proof of how she got it. I didn't care how invasive it felt. I wanted the truth exposed. Then came the call from Child Services. Apparently, Jenna, my girlfriend's friend, had already been flagged by a social worker for seeking prenatal benefits without naming a father. When investigators found out there was a potential legal dispute over paternity, they froze her application and started digging. Rachel tried to contact me again. Texts, voicemails, even showing up outside my building. I didn't respond. Every message was sent straight to Daniel. She begged me to stop, said Jenna was panicking, that the stress was bad for the baby. Her baby, my DNA, my nightmare. Then one evening, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but when I did, a shaky female voice said, Mark, it's Jenna. I went still. You shouldn't be calling me. I know, she said quickly. I need to explain. Rachel told me you agreed. She said it was your idea, that you wanted to help me privately so we could avoid the clinic costs. My jaw clenched. She lied. I never agreed to anything. She was quiet for a long time. Then I heard her crying softly. Oh my God, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Then why didn't you ask me yourself? She hesitated. I thought it would make things weird. Rachel said you were private about it. I trusted her. Trust. The word made me laugh bitterly. Listen, I said, I'm sorry for what you're going through. But what's done is done. My lawyer has already filed. You'll be hearing from the authorities soon. Cooperate, and you might avoid charges. She started to plead, but I hung up. I wasn't going to get emotionally dragged into a situation built on lies. The next morning, Daniel called again. Child Services is officially involved. They want to confirm whether you plan to claim paternity. Claim? I repeated. They think I want to be attached to this. They're asking if you intend to accept or dispute it legally. It's standard procedure. Dispute it, I said immediately. He sighed. Good. But brace yourself. This is about to get public. He was right. Within a week, the story started spreading in small legal circles. Unauthorized sperm use case under investigation. It was clinical, detached, but everyone knew what it meant. Rachel called again, this time from an unknown number. I answered out of exhaustion. Her voice was quiet, trembling. Mark, please. They came to my apartment. The police. Jenna's freaking out. They're saying she could lose the baby if she's charged. Please stop this. I took a breath. You should have thought about that before stealing from me. Her sobbing was soft, broken. I didn't mean to ruin your life. I thought it would make someone else's better. For a moment, there was silence. Then I said, you ruined 3. I hung up. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, staring at the letter from Child Services. They wanted a DNA sample to confirm biological relation. My name would be in their system. The weight of it hit me. No matter how innocent I was, a part of me would always be tied to that child. And yet, deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. Because if the law saw me as the biological father, the next battle wouldn't just be legal, it would be moral, and I was ready for it. When Child Services officially confirmed biological relation, I felt the room tilt slightly, like the ground beneath me wasn't solid anymore. I sat there in Daniel's office as he read through the report. My name, my DNA, my unintentional connection to a child conceived through deception. He looked up slowly, his expression unreadable. "It's official," he said quietly. "You're the biological father." I exhaled through my nose, steady but hollow. "And legally? That's where things get complicated. Since you didn't consent to the use of your sperm, we have a strong criminal case. But from a child welfare standpoint, they'll still see you as the biological parent, which means, technically, you could be pursued for responsibility unless the court rules otherwise." "So," I said flatly, "I could be forced to pay for a child I didn't choose to create?" Daniel nodded grimly. "It's possible, but we're going to make sure that doesn't happen. The key is intent and consent. And you gave neither that word again. Consent. It had become the center of my world, the thing that separated right from wrong, love from manipulation. And now it was what I was fighting for. Within days, subpoenas were issued. Rachel and Jenna were both called in for questioning. I didn't attend, but Daniel briefed me afterward. Rachel had broken down during her interview, claiming it was a stupid mistake made out of compassion for her friend. Jenna, on the other hand, admitted she had received the material from Rachel, believing I had agreed to it. The police took that as partial cooperation, but child services didn't see it as simple. They saw a man's DNA connected to a pregnancy, and that was enough to trigger a full investigation. They sent me official notices requesting medical background, hereditary details, even a statement about whether I'd be willing to be involved in the child's life should charges fall through. Involved. The irony was suffocating. Rachel tried again to reach me through mutual friends, even through my sister. She said she wanted to talk privately, that she could fix this. I didn't respond. I learned that every word out of her mouth came with a hook buried inside it. A week later, Daniel called. His voice was firm but cautious. "Mark, the DA is moving forward. They're charging Rachel with reproductive battery and theft of genetic material. Jenna's being considered as a witness, not a co-defendant." I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. "Good." "There's more," Daniel said. "Rachel's lawyer reached out. They want to negotiate. She's terrified of prison. She's offering to sign a statement clearing you of any parental responsibility in exchange for leniency." I smiled faintly. She's finally realizing what accountability feels like. When the court date arrived, I didn't want spectacle. I just wanted truth. The courtroom was quiet, sterile, filled with that strange mix of tension and formality that only exists in places where lives can be changed with a sentence. Rachel sat across the room, her eyes red, face pale, hands trembling. She didn't look like the confident woman who once justified her actions as helping someone. She looked like someone who had finally understood the gravity of what she'd done. Her lawyer spoke first, painting her as misguided, emotional, altruistic. "She made a poor choice out of empathy," he said. "She was not malicious." When it was our turn, Daniel stood calmly. "Empathy," he said, "does not excuse theft. She stole something personal, biological, and irreversible. She violated consent in a way that most laws haven't even fully caught up with yet. This isn't about emotion. It's about control over another person's body, another person's future." The judge listened quietly. Then Rachel took the stand. She looked at me once before lowering her gaze. "I didn't mean to hurt him," she whispered. Jenna was desperate, and I thought Mark wouldn't mind if he knew why." The judge raised an eyebrow. "Did you ask him?" "No." "Then you didn't give him a choice." The courtroom fell silent. When it was over, the verdict was clear. Rachel was found guilty of reproductive coercion and unlawful distribution of genetic material. The sentence wasn't long, a suspended term, probation, community service. But it wasn't about the time. It was about acknowledgement. It was the law saying what I already knew. What she did wasn't just wrong, it was criminal. After the hearing, Jenna approached me in the corridor. She looked exhausted, eyes swollen from crying. "Mark," she said quietly, "I'm sorry. Truly, I didn't know. I swear I didn't." I studied her for a moment. "I believe you," I said, "but believing you doesn't change what happened." She nodded, tears spilling over. "I don't want you to hate the baby." I sighed, feeling a knot tighten in my chest. I don't hate the baby. I hate how it happened. I sighed, feeling a knot tighten in my chest. I don't hate the baby. I hate how it happened. And that was the truth. The child wasn't guilty of anything. They were the innocent outcome of something that had never been a choice for me. But every time I thought about them, I felt a strange mix of pity and distance, a life tied to mine without consent. Months passed. The case drew media whispers. The unauthorized father, the stolen sperm scandal. I stayed quiet, ignoring interview requests, ignoring the noise. I just wanted to move on. Daniel eventually called with one last update. "It's done," he said. "You're legally absolved of all parental obligations. The state recognizes that the conception occurred without consent. You're free, Mark, free." The word hit harder than I expected. For months, I'd been living under the shadow of someone else's choices, someone else's control. Now, for the first time, it felt like I had mine back. But freedom didn't mean peace. Not right away. Nights were still long. I'd wake up thinking about what might happen when that child grew up, when they asked about their father, when they found out the truth. And every time I wondered whether innocence could ever come from something born in deceit. Rachel left town soon after sentencing. I never saw her again. Jenna had the baby quietly, kept her promise to leave my name out of it. I didn't ask for updates, but one day, a small envelope arrived at my office with no return address. Inside was a photo, a newborn wrapped in a blue blanket, asleep, tiny fingers curled around nothing. On the back, a single line written in shaky handwriting. "He's healthy. I thought you should know." I stared at the picture for a long time. I didn't feel anger. Not anymore. Just a strange, detached sorrow. A life that existed because someone decided my consent didn't matter. I slipped the photo into a drawer and locked it away. Not to forget, but to remember. To remember what control means, what boundaries mean, what it costs when someone crosses them. In the months that followed, I started rebuilding. Work, friendships, trust, all of it one small piece at a time. People said I handled it with grace. I don't know if grace is the right word. I think I just ran out of rage. Daniel once told me, "Cases like yours will probably rewrite laws one day." Maybe he was right. Maybe something good will come of it. A precedent that stops someone else from going through what I did. But even now, sometimes late at night, I think about Rachel's face when she realized the police were at her door. The shock of realizing that consequences are real, that actions have weight. She thought she could play God with someone's future. She learned she couldn't. If there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that love without respect becomes control, and control without consent becomes abuse. She didn't steal my sperm. She stole my choice. And when you take someone's choice, you take their humanity. So I took mine back. People often ask what justice feels like. It doesn't feel like victory. It feels like silence. That calm, still kind of silence that follows a storm when there's nothing left to destroy. That's what I felt when it was finally over. Not happiness, not relief, just quiet. And maybe that's enough. Because in a world where someone thought they could rewrite biology, I found something stronger. My right to say no, and my strength to never let anyone take that away again. Sometimes justice isn't loud. It's the sound of your own life finally being yours again.